Shout out to JRC Pottery, a pottery business owned by someone I don't remember. I'm so bad with names, but I forgot the name of the person who owns this pottery business, but it's in Rogers, Arkansas, and she is making really neat stuff. I actually not only have this really cool looking mug that looks like it's a leather binder, but I also have a flat bottom dripper made out of uh, clay that I bought from her, and it's absolutely amazing. Check them out. Check her out if you're ever there. JRC Pottery, they are fantastic. This is my favorite mug, guys. This is my favorite mug. It's so nice. It is so nice to find a mug that you love. I just love it. I love it. I wish I was drinking Sweven for this call, but funny enough, I forgot to bring it home to drink any for this call. So I am drinking a white honey geisha from Caf Felix, produced by Sebastian Ramirez, El Placer in Colombia. As well as I'm also dipping my toes into a coffee roasted by Moonwake, produced by oh Lord, I can't pronounce her name, but a wonderful woman in Peru, Anea something. I really do not remember the bags downstairs, but it's a wonderful woman who produced this in Peru. I believe it's Cajamarca, and it is an anaerobic washed geisha that I'm also tasting. It is delicious as well. Both are very good. What coffees are you drinking at home? Oh, coffee is so good, man. It is a true delight. Hope y'all have been enjoying the subscription. This month's subscription from Sweven is Sabanger. This is one of those subscriptions that I'm like, this is why we do it. This is why we do the subscription. It works. It's just the coffees were so tasty. We're about to talk about them, but I was thrilled with dialing in these coffees. Super enjoyable. I was very happy with the results. The coffees were as good as I was hoping for them to be. In fact, two of them were even better than I thought they would be. And that was actually three of them, kind of. And they were a delight. They were amazing. No big deal. No big deal. Mm-mm. Mm. Y'all had Moonwake for the July subscription. July? I believe I believe it was, yeah, it was July. We are receiving most likely next week our first shipment of Moonwake for the cafe. They will be one of our new long-term roasters. We're excited to work with them. Ming and Mabel are a great couple. I've had a call with them, and I've actually got to meet them in person, which is just a delight. And we also will have a an interview next week, actually, finally, with Mabel. So we're looking forward to it. I'm excited to just chat with them and just see how they're doing. We're excited to work with them long term, so it will be just way too much fun. Way too much fun indeed. Yeah. Mhm. Trying to think of announcements. I don't remember if I mentioned this in my email or not, but Haley Wolf, for those of you who don't know, Haley is the other GM. Oh, lovely. Jimmy's getting back to me. Team Go Team. Haley's the other GM here at Comet. It's me. Jimmy at Sweven's having a hard time figuring out Zoom, so it'll be just just another moment. Haley and I got to go to Ecuador for our first sourcing trip. Haley is going to be our green buyer moving forward, and so we're glad to have taken it. And I believe we've got Jimmy. Hey, hey.
How are you?
Oh, I'm great. How you doing, Jimmy?
I'm so pleased to see you.
Same. Nice to meet you somewhat face to face over
Yeah,
call.
amazing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just trying to figure out. Okay, like it's been a while because we used to use this software quite a lot in the pandemic, but I haven't used it since. So
Yeah. I got used to it during then and I've kind of kept up with it, but I know
yeah,
that
nice,
haven't.
nice, nice.
Yeah. Well, how's your day going so far right now?
Very busy with packing today, and normally we kind of packed the last orders today, so just waiting for UPS to turn up and
Okay.
collect everything. So I think I've managed pretty well, to be honest.
Oh, well, good.
So
I'm glad.
apart from being a little bit sweaty because it's like kind of really hot and it's raining outside, so it's like quite
Mhm.
humid. So
Yeah.
it feels like a little bit you're like in like Ecuador, but I
Yeah.
think it's
Yep. We also today's our first day in Missouri or in St. Louis, I guess. So probably Missouri, in which we've broken the heat wave. We were up to like
yeah.
almost 100 degrees Fahrenheit.
Wow,
And so
that's high.
we're finally down to like I think we're like 70 or 75 today. So
Oh,
we're
that's more. Yeah, that's more. Yeah, that's a bit better. Yeah.
very much so. But man, so excited to have you. It's been a
Oh, thank you so much. We're super
delightful.
excited. Even with my wife, like we spoke about it, and because obviously we connected a while ago. Was it
Yeah,
like last year or something like that? And then
probably. Yeah.
we kind of lost connection for a while, and I was like,
Hmm.
hopefully they'll get back to us and
Yeah.
stuff. And it's really nice that you went to visit Chororo as well. They're really good
Hmm.
friends, and
Hmm.
like that's what the magic thing about coffee is that like you go to one place and kind of
Yeah.
reconnect with other people that know these people, and it's just madness, isn't it? So,
Yep. Absolutely. It was wonderful.
um,
And
so
I mean I think I've mentioned, but I've been to the UK a decent amount. And so next time I go, definitely coming to Bristol because I still haven't even been to
yeah, Bristol is amazing, man. Honestly, you're
yeah.
gonna love it. I'm gonna take you to the best places. We're gonna have some great beer and amazing food, obviously coffee. So yeah, you're gonna love it. That's all you need in Bristol.
I'm so excited. I love it. Well,
Yeah.
let's talk about you. Let's talk about Sweven. Tell us a little bit about you and your wife and kind of just how your coffee journey just started in general.
All right. Okay. So it started in the summer of 2010, basically. So I was kind of in a summer, kind of just kind of early graduate, and started working in a coffee shop just for like a summer work, really. So, and the coffee scene back then, it was quite different than what it is now. And I didn't really know actually much about coffee back then, 2010, like 15 years ago. And so I started in this coffee shop, and my wife was already working there. So we kind of things didn't spark up in the very beginning, I think, but we worked together there for like about a year and a half, maybe. But the thing, though, back then it was there weren't that many cafes that like we used to call it third wave. Like that was the beginning of the third wave scene in the UK, where we used to feature like different coffee roasters and like dialing in. We had like two different grinders, and the first automated grinders started to appear back then.
Man.
Like people started switching from manual paddle uh, Maser Jolly grinders to like more like automated, which was great. And
Yeah.
things started to pick up. You could see more like pour overs and stuff. Long story short, but the owner of that cafe was very passionate about coffee, so he took us to the very first London Coffee Festival, which was in 2012, I think it was.
Wow.
Um, so we got really kind of we started thinking about we started looking at coffee at a different angle and different perspective, and really started enjoying kind of like everything about it, from brewing and understanding different varieties and origins. And for as much as we could understand back then, there were like a few books available to read as well.
Hmm.
um, but I think later we kind of we got together with my wife, and coffee brought us together actually. And we kind of started living together like a few years later. And then we started working, and both of us like started working for a different company as head baristas and progressed there. Then
Wow.
we did our first competitions in like 2014, UKBC, and my wife did UK latte art. um,
Oh.
and then and then from there, really from head baristas, kind of we were wondering what to do, and my wife kind of continued being more like in operational side of coffee, where I quit my job as head barista and I started working as a coffee roaster in 2015, 10 years ago. And then I was always passionate about education.
Yeah.
I'm always like I really love like teaching, like studying things and teaching and talking a lot. And that's my passion and focus is on that, on education. So
Mm.
the company that I started in 2015, they basically asked me like, do you want to develop like training and education program for us? They basically gave me that opportunity, and I took it. And then I completed like an SCA authorized trainer
Hmm.
in 2015, and I started teaching barista skills and brewing. Then I did my qualified with my coffee diploma a few years later. Then I opened SCA Premier Campus, which was the first in the southwest of UK,
Hmm.
and that was very successful. I ran it for 5 years. We had students coming from different parts of Europe and UK to take advantage of the lessons that I was doing.
Hmm.
And I loved those years, the 6 years that I was teaching intensely every single day with different groups and different people. I feel like I've gained so much knowledge from the students as well as teaching them, but also exchanging and digging deep into like coffee and loads of different things as well. So, um, and then I kind of focused more on quality control and sourcing, and I became a Q grader, started traveling around Central America and Africa and sourcing coffees. And then my kind of competition career, kind of that was the peak of it, maybe 2016, 17. I've stopped competing UKBC, started this new competition, Coffee Masters, and I did uh,
Yeah.
3 times London and once in New York and once in LA as well.
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
then the pandemic happened, and then we opened Sweven. So I did my last ever competition. It was Coffee Masters Los Angeles in 2019. I think it was in November. We opened the cafe in December,
Hmm.
uh, the same winter. Cafe was very successful in the beginning. There was a lot of hype, and we started serving some really great coffees in
Hmm.
2019, late 2019. And I feel like in the UK there were like a very few like incredible multi roaster cafes, but not really that many yet.
Yeah.
So I think it was a really good time for us to actually launch Sweven and
Mm.
kind of bring with my wife. We both quit our jobs. She had a lot of experience in like training and like competitions and uh, like operational stuff. I had a lot of uh,
Hmm.
like experience with like as well with competition, with education, with coffee knowledge and sourcing and quality control and barista skills and brewing and all of that all together. And
Yeah.
um, yeah, so this is our journey. And then we started 2019, and then the pandemic happened. And then we did a bit of takeaway. In the beginning, we started multi roaster, but we always, since the beginning, we always wanted to be a coffee roastery. But
Yeah.
the pandemic kind of put a little bit of spanner in the works. So we kind of continued being a multi roaster for a while until things started to like kind of become a bit more clearer what's going to happen with the
Yeah.
world.
Tell me about it.
And then we placed an order for our Loring S7.
Yeah.
Uh, we had to wait for that. I think 15 months
Hmm.
was the production waiting time back then. And then the Loring arrived, I think, end of 2021 and 2022 in January. We started set up our like launched our roastery. I think February actually,
Wow.
2022. It's 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago. And yeah, we just now we sold our S7 and we bought S15.
Hmm.
Things are getting it's really helpful, you know, because like only when we had the S7 like 3 months ago, like we used to roast like Monday to Friday till like really long hours, and it was really exhausting and batch after batch, and yeah,
Hmm.
it was starting to become a little hectic.
Yeah.
So I think now we are like feeling so much better, being able to like complete our roasts till like Wednesday, and then today pack everything and do quality control tomorrow, and you know, and
Hmm.
but this is kind of our journey from like a really quick overview of everything with Sweven over the last 3.5 years with the roasting. I think we've always been like really people focused. Like for us, like the most powerful thing about coffee is the people and the connections that we build along the way. So we kind of this is our main focus at Sweven. This is why we put a lot of effort going traveling, connecting with producers and coffee peeps and coffee shops like yourself, and
Yeah.
constantly keeping contact and sharing like what we know from the producers and
Mhm.
then what coffee shops know from consumers, and kind of constantly bridging the specialty coffee. And hence why you went to like a random coffee farm and you saw our packaging and you texted me and you're like, ah, Jimmy, yeah, look, I saw your
Okay.
packaging. And, you know, and this for us, like, this is a real example of why Sweven is existing and
Yeah.
why we are here. We are not here because we want to have a fancy packaging and roast coffees that are like modern or like that sell really well, but we are here most and foremost for the people and making sure that the connections that we build are really genuine, direct, and honest.
Yeah.
And this is what is very, very important for us. So,
Mhm.
and from there, obviously, the things become a lot more easier because when you're connected to the people, that's really powerful. Then you can do so much more. Like you can explore different coffees, work on different projects, like in Chorore and Bomine, and many different producers, and bring these projects to life that will benefit the producers and us and the
Mhm.
consumers. And yeah, this is basically the whole ethos
Mhm.
and the whole idea of what we had in mind and what we are doing at Sweven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're doing a great job. Whenever we first cupped you guys, it was a clear like there's no way we're not working with this roastery named Sweven. And yeah, it's generally been something that like it's I don't remember at what point, but I think I texted you around Christmas time and I was like, don't worry, we'll do something at some point.
Yeah.
And I think around that time, like I wrote you down for like around this time, like by either being in the subscription or like when we start to carry you. in the cafe, and I've just been waiting,
Yeah,
to
man.
get here because it's just like we had so many others. Um, but obviously
Amazing.
we could get here. I actually don't know Sweven. What's the name? Is there a meaning behind that name? I actually don't.
Okay, so we basically like we were exploring a few different names when we came up with the brand. And like we've kind of got to like two different options. So one of them was like Monolith Coffee,
Mm,
and the other one was Sweven Coffee. So we were thinking like we wanted to be one word and to be like easy to remember, but also to have a little bit meaning. So like Monolith meant more like something solid and reliable,
oh,
like the monolith kind of like
yeah.
stone kind of thing.
Hmm.
And Sweven in Old English means a dream or a vision, which is slightly more soft and angelic, kind of dreamy kind of theme. So we either wanted to go more like, okay, we're like really solid and we stand for our values and for our ethos, and we're monolith,
Hmm.
and we have like a really sharp, black, sleek packaging. That was my idea. Or we are like Sweven, who basically worked their ass off all of their life in coffee, and finally in the end they wanted to achieve their dream and vision.
Mm,
And the brand here is more like soft, and there's loads of clouds and dreamy, and even the packaging, it's quite
mhm,
angelic and with a soft touch. And I think with Sweven, more kind of fulfilled more of our vision of what our brand was about, and also the fact that we always wanted to roast really light, soft coffees.
mm,
So we kind of the brand kind of fitted more into the whole story about us.
mm,
Every brand has a personal meaning, or at least our brand. So it is really our vision and story and dream that became a reality, and it represents the coffees that we believe that we want to highlight in our offer list, like
mhm,
light, soft, floral, vibrant, this kind of thing. And
yeah.
I hope that the brand come across that way,
Oh yeah.
at least. So, but yeah, we kind of randomly picked up those names. We kind of reviewed loads of different options, and I think Sweven was the one that myself and my wife kind of liked the most. But it does mean a dream or a vision. Yeah.
Mm. All
So
right.
that is the meaning about it. Yeah.
Well, I think you do a good job with it. And, speaking of the luring and roasting light, bringing out those soft characteristics as well as trying to
Yeah.
be as complex and your profiles, why specifically, were you like, let's get a luring, or like was there a process of like looking at other roasters? What was that like for you?
So I, well, when we were a multi roaster cafe, this was also a really good kind of time for us to explore working with different roasters, and like tasting different coffees and really understanding what roasting does to the green bean, and what it does to like more fermented coffees, or what it does to like clean and washed coffees and different styles. And we worked with many roasters that used Probat and Didrich and Loring and like loads of different, even like Giesen. And we were the most impressed from Loring, and we actually ended up in the end, before we started our roastery, working with maybe 3 or 4 selected roasteries that maybe most of them were roasting on Loring,
Mm-hmm.
because we just really enjoyed the clarity. Obviously, you have to be a little bit more patient with resting and stuff, and maybe adjust your like brewing style a little bit when you kind of come across with coffees roasted on Loring. But like I definitely think it's worth it, and we just found that clarity. I think that was the most impressive and the thing that really made us thinking about Loring. But then Loring was the most expensive option, so it was quite difficult to make decision to make. And in the end, we were thinking between Loring and Didrik,
Hmm.
yeah, in between those two. But then we were like, maybe we should just buy 7 kilo Loring to start with because it's kind of a good, kind of not too expensive, a good start.
Hmm.
Or buy like 12 kilo Didrik, whereas like we can use it for at least 4 or 5 years maybe. Whereas with the 7 kilo Loring, we'll probably use it 2 or 3 years, like we already did. So
Yeah.
that was our kind of projection anyway. Um, but yeah, we set on Loring. But the thing with Loring as well, like with many other things I find, it's not just about the style of roasting and what you can achieve with Loring, but also the Loring community as well.
Mm.
It's very powerful. And I really, really appreciate that. From
Wow.
tech service to like some really amazing big names in coffee industry that use Lorings, and the community is very helpful. I think my wife roasts all of our coffees. She's very passionate and really into coffees,
Hmm.
into roasting coffee. But she's always in constant touch with loads of different coffee roasters that roast on Loring and from around the globe. And the community is really powerful. And I think this is something that the Loring again is a very positive thing of having a Loring as well.
Yeah.
There.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, we
Mm.
work with about, four to five or six roasters all the time. They have the loring, and so it's something we've become aware of. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, and so it's neat to see always it being used well. Yeah, I just couldn't be happier with the results of just the coffees are just as good as when we cupped them, probably a year ago now or so, and just absolutely tasty. Yeah. Yeah, moving on to, I just love to talk about the coffees that we used and like
Yeah, sure. Amazing.
how'd you get to like, start working with them or anything of the sort.
Yes.
Yeah, first two coffees were for kind of what we use for like our approachable subscription, were the Bertucana Ethiopia as well as the
Yeah.
Lucuma from Peru. Yeah, just tell us a wee bit.
So sure. So Bertacana is like the coffee that I've actually have a really long story with it. It
Yeah.
started in maybe 2017. Um, so the company I used to work previously before, I coached one of our guys, and he won the UK Brewers Cup competition. And with this exact coffee and with the Bertacana, actually, in fact, Bertacana, like it's like oromia, like Ethiopian word that's used for like bright and yellow kind of color.
Oh.
So the importer that we buy this coffee from is called Nordic Approach. They're based out in Oslo.
Hmm.
So they select. They're very particular and meticulous with selecting incredible lots, constantly sourcing the very best. And some of really fantastic roasters from Scandinavia that you can see, you name them, like I'm sure you know all of them, the more popular ones, they work with Nordic Approach, and Nordic Approach is part of Tumundobo, and so on. They couple is constantly together. So it's the trust that we have with Nordic Approach, and I've been knowing them for many, many years. And 2017, by a lucky chance, maybe not, my colleague Dave won the UK Brewers Cup competition with an Ethiopian natural coffee, and that was absolutely ridiculous because at that point you could never ever win UK Brewers Cup unless if you use Gesher or coffee that scores like 90 plus points. But that coffee was off the shelf from a offer list and absolutely knocked the judges' socks. So
Mhm.
from there, I think I really kind of it was one of the best Ethiopian coffees, and I really loved it. And when we set up the roaster, yeah, I instantly continued the relationship with Nordic Approach, and we always have that coffee on our offer list,
Yeah.
what possibly can. So this coffee kind of changes. Sometimes it's from the Guji region, mostly from the Guji region. because the Guji region naturals, they kind of produced more like fruit forward, kind of juicy kind of character.
Okay.
Whereas Yorkshire naturals, they tend to be a little bit more floral stone fruit
Okay. Yeah.
characteristics. So the different regions in Ethiopia, they kind of like, it depends what you like really, but
Hmm.
I prefer the Guji naturals personally. I think the altitude is very high, and are these washing stations up very high in the mountain. They very often, they always actually dry the fruits out there, and it takes longer, and there's
Hmm.
much lower oxygen environment, so
Yeah.
it does help like cleaner profiles as well.
Okay.
So yeah, this is the story of Bertacana.
Yeah.
Uh, Lalukuma is a producer called Marcelino Chinguel. We launched our roastery with coffee from him, and it was a natural Marshall.
Hmm.
So the dude, he's quite actually kind of not very young anymore. Like he's probably in his like late 40s, 50s. And he was the one that kind of came about with this specific varietal
Okay.
in Peru, in Cajamarca. And he called it Marshall after his name, like Marcelino Chinguel, Marshall. So first and second name.
Yeah.
And I think like they weren't quite sure what it was exactly because they thought it had some qualities of Sudan Rumeh,
Mm.
or some Yemeni coffee at the very beginning.
Hmm.
So I think they sent sample to like the World of Coffee Research to like really figure out the genetics of this varietal. And it turned out that it does indeed have some Ethiopian genetics and Yemeni genetics of some land races.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, this particular varietal, it cracks always. It's incredible. And like we had the natural kind of tastes like, to me it tastes like Yemeni coffee
Mm.
in a weird way. Like I don't know if you're a fan of Yemeni coffees, or if you tried Yemeni coffees, but they kind of have this kind of spicy Oriental character
Yeah.
with like Turkish delight, or like rose, or like
Hmm.
love, or like nougat, nuts, like
Hmm.
pistachios, these kind of things, like kind of sweet tobacco aroma. Yeah,
Yeah.
these things. And yeah, we I know like an importer that used to work in like importing company here in the UK, and they appointed him to move to Peru and to develop their sourcing program there to connect with local producers.
Wow.
And he was there for like a few years, and then he decided to quit, and because he met a local girl and he married her, and they've got a child now, and he's now started his own farm, and he set up his exporting company there, and he helps me with importing all these coffees to the UK,
Wow.
um, which is incredible. And like when he was setting up like a year or 2 years ago, he came here first in Bristol, and I really
Yeah.
appreciate that because he came straight to our roaster, and he just said to me, "I really just came to Bristol to see you. I really don't want to work with anyone really. So it's
Wow.
one person at a time is enough for me." I said
Yeah.
that's exactly what we do as well. We kind
Okay.
of really selective when we choose partners. So
Yeah.
kind of matches our values. So but we've released so many Peruvian coffees. At the moment, we have a washed Peruvian geisha, which is like incredible value for money.
Yeah.
Uh, we had one washed double face geisha from Peru like 2 months ago. It was cracking, and now we just released another natural geisha from Peru, which is insane.
Yeah.
And they're all from him, and it's really really great connection there in Peru.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. The La Lucama on pour over and espresso. I mean, both were fantastic, but it
yeah,
was just yeah, it was singing with spices, nutmeg and clove.
yeah,
Right out the gate, it was just like super sweet apricot jam for me. Just
yep,
just a bunch of other notes. It was just like this is a banger. Um, it just, yeah, it was very smashable. You know, it was just so enjoyable on both porter and espresso. And I very much enjoy Peru's because we just don't see them as much, you know. And
Yeah,
so it's just a delight every time we get one, and it's just really good.
yeah,
All of I actually didn't know that Marshall varietal kind of has some Yemeni genetics because yeah, Yemen's actually my favorite coffee growing region.
yeah.
Um,
It does. Yeah,
yeah, and so that like genuinely does kind of make sense. Yeah,
yeah.
it's so good. That Bertucana also a delight. Those tasty notes that you had were spot on. Just
Bertacana, it's very
oh,
yellow and it has
yeah.
like a jackfruit, like bright jackfruit and stone fruits like peach nectarine.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's very floral as well on the nose, and when it cools, becomes really round and
Yeah.
really stone fruit, peachy. Um, yeah, it's very sweet and floral coffee and really enjoyable. I think the La Lucuma is a little bit more on the spice, kind of nuts, spice, but also sweet side.
Uh-huh.
So it kind of gives a really good contrast to your subscribers or like
Mhm.
consumers. So I think a very good choice for, indeed. So for the two of them, yeah,
Very much so. Yeah. Yeah. And then just moving on, tell us a little bit of how, how you got to meet everyone at La Florida and Los Rodriguez because these coffees were
yeah.
genuinely out of this world. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. So with La Florida, so that's a long story as well. When we were running the multi roaster cafe in Bristol, there's a really good friend of mine called Andre, and he's from Ecuador, and he set up importing company in Bristol for like really small micro lots from Ecuador, and he started with like maybe like 5 or 6 producers, um, and he just once came to the cafe and said, "Oh, let's cup together." And he brought maybe 10 samples after work, after we closed the cafe, and we cupped it. And I was really impressed by every single coffee. And I said to myself, actually, I wasn't impressed. I was blown away. And I said to him, I think Ecuador is probably the best region I've ever cupped in my
Wow.
life. And he was like, wow, seriously, dude, that's incredible. Like such compliment. Like everyone is just like always slagging Ecuador that coffee is a flat and they're not worth the money and stuff like that. And I said, honestly, like as soon as we set up the roastery, we're gonna start working together and we're gonna go together to Ecuador. And he was like, oh, I would love that. Honestly, that would be such a nice boost for us, and we'll show you everywhere and stuff. And because they were also like a really like a startup with his wife,
Yeah.
and we were like as well with my wife. And then like we started roasting, and then like 5 6 months later we were like in the summer of like it was like July 2022, 5 6 months after we started the roastery. And I said to my wife, we're very quiet now, and that's the best time to go out, get out,
Yeah.
go at the farms, meet producers, spend time with them, sleep with them, drink with them, um, like dry coffee, pulp, whatever we want to do, and before we get busy, and not just find coffees, but just like connect with the producers,
Mm.
I really like that. And then, yeah, Andre said, okay, let's go to Ecuador. And that was our first trip after the pandemic,
Mm.
like flying abroad. It was amazing. Like we went to Ecuador and wow, mind blowing. I'm actually getting goosebumps when I just remember that it was the best trip of my life. I mean, I've traveled to many different places and origins before that, but Ecuador is honestly the best country I've ever been to. I kind of felt this weird energy that, like, I don't know if that's strange to say, but like kind of belong to there or something. Like, like you
Uh,
just really feel like comfortable, and like you don't feel weird. Like you feel like you've been there before, like
mm.
maybe that's how I felt. But like we went to like Imbabura to see Pepe,
Mm-hmm.
Finca Soledad. He was kind of starting off then, and
Wow.
like he was kind of starting off the business and cupped some coffees, and we just featured his coffee back then as well, uh,
Mhm.
at our roaster here in the UK, and he wanted to invite us, and to share dinner with his children and wife, and his farm was amazing. We spent
Mhm.
there a few days, and then we went down to Loja
Mhm.
and to Yambamine, spent some time with Rene and Diana and Olinka, and
Mhm.
they're incredible people. And like, this farm was absolutely incredible. Like, the
Mhm.
views and the story for it, and
Yeah.
like the old Inca path where it was going through the farm. And oh my goodness, like during the night when you see the stars
Yeah.
above, it's this place is just like, yeah, enchanting, man. It's just magical. It, it's the best farm I've ever been to. You know, I mean, yeah. Then, yeah, that's how I started the relationship with them. And like,
Yeah.
they had these kind of hybrids growing just by their cupping lab.
Yeah.
Um, so we released those Chorora hybrids.
Yep.
Then we had from them loads of Sidra. Their Sidra is incredible.
Mhm.
And we did, like, Rene asked me like to process like a small batch of coffee when I was at the farm, and we did it kind of like a washed carbonic maceration kind of Sidra,
Mhm.
and we called it passion flowers. And because it was born from the passion, from our mutual passion of coffee.
Yeah.
And then he said, I'll send it to you when it's ready. And then a few months later, like, he cupped it, he really liked it, and he kind of locked in that recipe to use it. And then he entered the Ecuadorian Cup of Excellence with that locked, and he came sixth.
Oh my gosh.
It was like pure accident, I never, like, I'm never really that good at fermentation or anything, but we just did it together, and it was just so incredible. And then we got this locked here,
Yeah.
in our cafe, and we served it, and it was such a powerful story to tell, not just to
Yeah.
serve it, that you've done it with your own hands, and
Mhm.
you serve it to the customer, like, from the farm, that you've actually put your hands in the actual tank to do that particular lot that you serve it. It was, yeah, it was an incredible experience. Not hopefully for the customers, but for me as a barista as well. You
Oh
know,
yeah. Yeah.
uh, you know. um, and yeah, like, Fabrizio's farm, La Florida, is only like maybe half an hour by car from La Chorora, from Chorora and Yambamine. And
Mhm.
like, we went there. We spent there one night with Fabrizio. He's a very young producer with his brother Ramiro. His brother runs the cafe in Loja. They have a cafe. Yeah, and Fabrizio, he loves the farm. He's there all the time. He's like a farm guy. He's like yeah, he really understands the farm. He's there all the time, and he does loads of. When we were there, he was just starting off with some, like, dark room drying, and he was just invested in like two stainless steel tanks, and he
Mhm.
was the first producer in Ecuador to have stainless steel tanks and to dry in like dark rooms. And um, so his coffees were, they're always exceptional. It's a really small farm, and they're same size as us pretty much. Like, we're six people at Sweven, four in the cafe and two in the roastery.
Uh-huh.
And he's like him, his brother, and four employees helping them
Yeah.
picking. And the farm's very small.
Yeah.
And we've had his Típico Mejorado, we had his Sidra, the Catucaí.
Mhm.
Catucaí, the one that you have, is a weird one because it's usually like a Brazilian varietal, and it's usually like yellow color. And it's kind of like, it kind of possesses these characteristics of like a chocolate minty kind of, uh, when it's like from Brazil, like,
Mhm.
grown at low altitude on Brazilian soil. But Fabrizio, when he took over his family farm, in the beginning, he didn't really know what to do with coffee and what direction to go.
Yeah.
So he had this catucay planted around the farm, and Katuka is quite resistant, like the fruit is quite thick and the plants are quite resistant. Um, as opposed to like typical mejorado is super fragile and really difficult to grow and to maintain.
Mm.
Sidra is very good as well. It's also really resistant, but typical mejorado is like it's like a fussy old woman, like typical mejorado. So like, you can never please it with anything, like so. Um, but yeah, the cafe is like at the bottom of the farm, and then he has like typical mejorado and sidra at the top.
Okay.
Um, so I really like the catucaí because his catucaí is very distinct and different to Brazilian catucaí. It's like
Oh,
really bright, and he does like carbonic maceration with it, which kind of brings a lot of these kind of floral notes and like yellow stone fruits and like it's very complex and aromatic coffee and very different. That's why I like it because it's distinct. It's like nothing you can taste in coffee from anywhere. It
yeah.
kind of like you can taste the character of his farm, you
Hmm.
know, because it comes from there, and that's how it tastes because he uses natural yeast from the farm. The farm is a farm actually. It's not finca. It's hacienda.
Hmm.
So hacienda means like they have like pigs and chickens and dogs running around, and his dad like his dad has like a like a caramel kind of little caramel factory at the back of the farm. We went there. His dad was there with a few more employees, and they were just shoving a lot of like demerara sugar and melting it and putting it in these kind of like a soap figures and stuff, like turning it into like caramel blocks and stuff. It's a very like they're really like labor loving family,
Yeah.
hardworking. Uh, and even like he's educated, like that his parents like send him to study in Milan, to like he's agricultural engineer.
Oh,
That's for Ecuador cost a lot of money to send your son to study abroad in Europe
yeah.
and stuff. He's very clever guy, and that's what I like about him as well, that we can sit down and talk loads of different things for like
Hmm.
educational stuff, things that I'm really passionate about, like
Hmm.
and he can really dig deep into it and into some really interesting conversations. And he's very geeky, and he just competed at Ecuadorian Brewers Cup. He came second, nearly won it. So he really loves brewing as well, and
Yeah.
incredible producer.
Yeah. Wow. That's
With
amazing.
the with the Los Rodriguez, we haven't been in Bolivia at the farm yet. We are planning to go, but I've cupped their coffees first in Athens, World of Coffee.
Yeah.
And this is another really great thing about these events, the World of Coffee events, that if you can't go to Origin, or if you can't afford or you don't have time to go to like 4 or 5 different origins, at least go to these events, because then you will see these producers all together under one roof, and you can then talk, cup. It is obviously different experience than if you go there, but it's
Right.
still a good chance to connect. And we never miss them because for that reason,
Mm.
to keep connections and find new people and reconnect, like maintain relationships and stuff. So
Hmm.
we've met Daniela and Pedro at cupping there, and we love their coffees. They're very clean, and even like if they use like a little bit of fermentation, it's still coffee is very terroir driven and very refined. The acidity is really refined, and they're very rounded, very aromatic, and I like to call them like a luxury coffees because they are luxury coffees. Like they just don't have the intensity of these kind of heavily processed Colombian coffees,
Yep.
or like they're not like very bright and floral like Ethiopian coffees. They're just like really refined and very well structured coffees,
Yep.
and I
Hmm.
really like that because again, it's very different. Uh,
Hmm.
so yeah, and we cut. She said to me, we work with a very few people in UK. I I like we cupped. I really liked the Batian when we cupped it. That was what, like 2.5 years ago, and I bought the Batian. We started off with it, and she said, "I'm gonna give the Batian just to you and no one else around you in the UK, so only you have it because you really like it." I said, "Okay." I didn't ask for it, but I'm happy with that. And so yeah, they're also like very like particular and selective people. Like, and I said, okay, no problem, and then kind of made me feel guilty and always like having to buy it year after year, because it just feels like it's part like like some coffees or producers that kind of become part of your brand. Because in the UK, no one else has La Florida, and
Whoa.
because Fabrizio worked with 3 roasteries in Europe only, and and maybe 3 roasteries in the US. So like he's such a small farm, and in the UK we're the only one. He used to work with a few maybe like years ago, but not anymore because he exports most of his coffees in Asia.
Okay.
But then like when I go to like festivals in the UK or somewhere to brew coffees, and they're like, "Oh, there we go, Sweven. We're sure that they're gonna have La Florida."
Yeah.
It's like
Hmm.
it's like people are looking forward to trying this particular coffee because they know that they can only have it from you, and that
Hmm.
makes a really kind of one-time experience that
Right.
you're kind of like it's almost like like some roasteries that work with this farm in Bolivia. What was it called? Um, Takesi farm,
Yep.
and
Okay.
like like with that particular roastery, like would have that coffee, and it's kind of like yeah, it changes the perception of like you're gonna get it with their particular roast style, that farm and stuff,
Hmm.
and I really like that, with
Yeah.
La Florida and also with the Batian from Los Rodriguez. They're kind of really relative coffees to us and what we do, and the producers are really happy of what we're doing. We're really happy with what they're doing, and the
Hmm.
consumers as well. So happy days. And this is what we want to achieve as in general with our rare and exclusive and limited release range.
Yeah.
Coffees that are very personal, very like relative, like with producer that we feel really close with,
Hmm.
and like with the lots that we buy year after year, we feel really confident with working with those particular coffees and producers. So
Hmm.
uh, and yeah, that's something that we focus on, the rare and exclusive range.
Yeah.
And the micro lot range that you have, the Bertacana and La
Hmm.
Lucuma, and in the likings like coffee like that, they're more coffees that we know some of the producers, but some coffees come from like washing stations like Bertacana, so you cannot have direct, uh, you cannot communicate directly with producer there, unfortunately. But we have good relationship with the importer then, that does a lot of great job at origin and stuff.
Wait.
But it's kind of the different categories that we offer on our offer list.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah,
Yeah. The first time we had La Florida was from a roastery here in the US called Moxie out of Phoenix. And
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. I
yeah,
know.
yeah,
Yeah,
and it, it it was amazing, It was just
yeah,
it blew us all away, honestly, and that was our first time as a staff having any coffees from there. And we were just like, okay, anytime we see this, we will need to jump on it. So
yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
actually, it sells very slow. La Florida always. I don't know why. I think because it's such a small and niche farm that, and Fabrizio isn't really that much into like social media shout outs and stuff like that. He does post from now every now and then a few stories and things like that. Um, sorry, someone is just downstairs, but I will go in a second. Um, do you mind just a couple of seconds?
Yeah, do your thing. Do your thing.
Please come in. Nice to meet you. If you have a look around, I have a quick meeting, and I'll join in a second. Sorry. Oh, it's 4 o'clock already. Yeah. um, but yeah, I was saying about Fabrizio that yeah, he's kind of really a really small boutique farm, and
Yeah.
you know, like he doesn't do lots of shout outs and stuff. And his coffees are not selling as fast as some other producers that are more popular in general, we
Mhm.
find, but they still go to the right places to people that know what they want to get. So
Yeah.
that's fine. And we keep our relationship with him, and you know, and keep enjoying his amazing coffees. So
Yeah. Well, this is also the best Katukai coffee I've ever had, just hands down. Like your
thank
tasting
you.
notes were just spot on. Juniper, rosemary, I threw in there like lemongrass, herbaceous, just
Yeah,
Sprite soda, red grapefruit, hibiscus, just like
yeah,
just unbelievably tasty. Like the first brew was like so
yeah,
perfect that I didn't need to touch it again. I was just like, and we're done. This is perfect, just the way it is. And like,
yeah.
yeah, same
Nice.
thing on espresso, just unreal.
Oh,
So
you tried
fun.
espresso as well.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Oh my gosh, unreal. I almost liked it more on espresso, which usually I'm a big
Yeah.
cold person. But I was like, this is it's pretty special.
We
Yeah.
use we use rare and exclusive or limited release coffees. Just the filter profile. We use them for
Yeah.
special espressos in the cafe.
Yeah.
We freeze them after peak. I think the freezing as well helps a little bit somehow. Kind of you feel like makes the coffee a little bit more soluble, perhaps. You
Hmm.
know, when you pour it, even if it's like a lighter roast, you know, like when it comes from frozen, you grind it. Obviously, the grinding, the friction brings the temperature up a little bit again, but
Hmm.
kind of we feel like the coffee becomes a little bit more soluble, so it works in a really good favor for like specifically for frozen espresso menu. I think
Yeah.
the very light roast kind of style.
Oh yeah. We only basically all the coffees we put on featured espresso, which I don't know if I've told you, but we have three featured espressos every day.
Nice.
So it's always fun. We just throw them through an EK with Turkish burrs, and they're always filter roasts. Like we just exclusively don't do espresso roasts, and it seems to work. Yeah.
Yeah, we I don't know why we call it espresso roast with our espressos. I think our micro lot range we do them in espresso and filter. I think it's just purely because of solubility, I guess.
Yeah. Oh
Um, So we've had some Omni roasters that we worked with in the past, and they go more on the lighter side of Omni, which I personally prefer. But with some particular like coffees, that doesn't work as espresso or like often. So yeah, we just yeah.
yeah.
Also like espresso, okay, like but most of the espresso based drinks that we serve, they're milk drinks, so we have to consider that how balanced is the espresso with the milk drink, and you know like how soluble it is and how round the acidity is and the aftertaste. The
Yeah.
aftertaste is the most important thing for me in the espresso, so
Yeah.
you know like all these things. So
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, the Los Rodriguez, I just again have to say and reiterate to you as well as to people watching, we've had a Batian from Los Rodriguez twice from different roasters, and they're good coffee, but kind of remarkably underwhelming. And so this is just an unreal coffee to taste.
thank you.
Genuinely, it was just genuinely, I was just just taken aback by how tasty it was. Again, all your tasting notes were spot on. I think I threw in there like lemon verbena, green grape, white florals, like
Yeah,
just apricot. I think
I think we put vanilla as well. I think apricot is a
Mhm.
strong one actually in this one.
Mhm.
We put like coconut cream because
Oh
it
yeah.
does have this kind of like coconut aroma and vanilla, and
Oh yeah.
like it's got this kind of pineapple texture as well when it cools, but not a thick pineapple juice, but like refined,
Mhm.
uh, like the flavor of it. Yeah, Amazing. I'm really hoping that you guys and your customers and your clients are enjoying. You have four fantastic coffees,
Oh yeah.
super versatile, really
Yeah.
interesting flavor profiles, and
Yeah.
yeah, so
Very much so. I think this will be one of our best months of the subscription this year. Honestly, I the coffees are just so
oh,
good. Roastery's
thank you,
great. Producers you work with are great. All the
thank you so
above.
much. Thank
Yeah.
you, Dave.
No, we're excited to bring you in the shop. I think it'll probably be the end of this month or in September or end of August or September is when we'll finally have room to bring you also into the cafe. And
Awesome,
we are
good
so
stuff.
excited. So excited to have you.
Yeah, amazing. So we are.
Yeah. Thanks again.
Um,
This amazing call, Jimmy. All the above.
you're what most welcome, and thank you so much for like the contact and for not forgetting about us and for the heads up and like because sometimes like when we don't hear with some people, and I'm always like dropping a text to someone every now and then just to be like, hey, are you alive? How are you doing? And stuff like that. Because it is important, isn't it? Because we're all so very busy in coffee, like every day you meet customers buying coffees, cupping, dealing with clients and stuff. And we forget how important sometimes is to just send a message or keep in touch with people.
Yeah.
It's so important in coffee, like it's the most important part. And
Yeah.
I'm really, really grateful that we had the opportunity to connect today and
Same.
to share our coffees with you and with your customers.
Yeah.
So
Genuinely thankful that you trust us to showcase your coffees. You know, we try to do our best, and so it's awesome that you trust us.
yeah, I have no doubts that you're going to do amazing. So
That's right. That's right. Well, we will chat later. Thank you again for this incredible
yeah,
call.
welcome.
All the
Thank you.
best. We'll chat soon.
See you
Bye.
too. Thank you. Bye, Dave.
Thank you.